How's it going, everyone? Vince here with On to the Next podcast. I have my friend Jared Wiggins on this episode. This guy has so many years of experience of being an entrepreneur, the wins, the losses, and I can't wait for you to hear his story. This is On to the Next.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I'm still kept at 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging it.
So, Jay, what's going on, man? So happy to have you on because I know you're a man of many moving parts, and I know you're a busy guy. So I appreciate you being on, man.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's wild because I've been doing a few podcasts and it's out of my comfort zone because usually I'm in your role. So I'm glad to be here and just get it going, man, from the other side of the mic, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of intimidating, man. You're I consider an old dog in this. You know, you've been doing this for a while. So I mean, do you look at new podcasters and you're like, oh, look at this guy? Are you?
No, you know, it's funny because man, when I started doing podcasts, it was like 2015. And people literally at that point like did not know what a podcast was. Like I remember when I worked for the KS175 morning show, I was like editing the clips, and the guy in the web department was like, "Oh, you need to edit the morning show or the morning after and put it on a podcast." And I was like, "What's a podcast?" And so I like literally was editing 20 clips and uploading 20 now episodes in a single day because I didn't know what it was. And now today it's evolved to what it's evolved to, and it's kind of cool to watch. But man, I remember a time where people were like, what's a podcast? And even I had business ventures fail because I was like, oh, you should sponsor this podcast or you should sponsor the show. And people were like, no, I don't even know what that is. And then I quit doing it, and then it became what it became, which is it's more fun to watch. That I was like, hey, I was the first one at the party, but I left because no one showed up, and then turned out to be a rager.
You know, it's funny because I was just talking to we're talking about the podcast like world now has it's kind of taken over the journalism world in a sense because it's like so outside of everybody's kind of able to structure their own show, their own opinion. It doesn't have to be over anybody or under anybody unless you sign to a big media corp to do. But I that's why I love it so much, is because there's a lot of freedom in it. And I mean, the cool thing about you is like I've seen you over the years, kind of been able to follow what you're doing because a lot of the stuff that you've been doing has been out, you know, with 107.5 really starting out there
When
and
radio was cool.
when radio was cool, man.
It's dying now, man. You know, and what's funny about that is I even pitched podcasts to the radio industry back then, and they were like, no, what is this? And now iHeart had podcasts and everyone's evolved to it, but it's evolved to your point of where you can just get real conversations. And I think education. I think people don't just like podcasts for the stories. I think people like listening because of what it can do for them, whether it's enlightening their mood because they're listening to something that's funny, or if it's giving them motivation, or maybe it's just giving them insight into something that they're unsure of. I think there's so many avenues for podcasts that people can kind of go down and just listen to it for their own personal selfish reasons.
Yeah, man. And you know, when I started this podcast, I've kind of been in the realm of like on my side in ministry and stuff like that. That's kind of been mine, helping people to better themselves in a sense over the years. And this podcast has been capturing people's journeys because I think somebody like you have an inspirational story that I really like to capture because, dude, you came from a place where a lot of people don't make it out of, and
Yeah.
to where you're at now. And now that you got your teleprompter, I actually even wore my CU hat to
Yeah, I saw you
kind
have
of
that on,
kind of rep
man.
kind of rep your alma mater. So
Well, dude, I appreciate you just following me and kind of just being aware of my journey. And you know, it's funny because I don't necessarily think that my journey was hard. Everyone's got a journey that's difficult. It's how you kind of persevere and get through it. But then I talk to people and they're like, the jaws hit the floor about kind of what I've been through. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just my life. And I think it's important to realize that everyone struggles. But I did come from a single mom. You know what I mean? Like I think that I watched my mom. My mom cleaned houses, right? Made 14 grand a year, which now seems like nothing, but she literally would make $40, $10 an hour, and she'd clean 2 houses a day, make $80. And I would go with her to some of these houses because I was like 6, 7, and she couldn't really pay for childcare. And these people were really cool that she'd clean houses for and would let me go with her. And there's something that I saw where I'm helping her vacuum or I'm watching her put her hand in someone else's toilet and in this massive house that's like 3 stories and there's 2 fridges and a pool table downstairs and a massive yard and like they have brand cereals, right? Like they have Lucky Charms and all these things that I just did not have. And then we'd go home to our trailer park. And there was something that triggered for me that was like, oh wow, like once I saw how other people live, it wasn't a sense of like, oh, I'm jealous or I need to get there. Is more of like, oh wow, there's another side of life. What that looks like or what that is, I didn't know. I just know that I just knew that where we were at was just difficult. And there's a side that it wasn't. And that kind of opened my eyes at a young age.
yeah, I kind of share the same. I grew up in Carmen City, Colorado, and we didn't have much, but at the same time, like it sounds like a lot of the relationship with your mom was like she was always there for you. She did a lot for you to try and keep food on the table, let you know that she was there. And I kind of had that around me, and I didn't realize it myself until I left Carmen City, Colorado, and I was like, "Oh, there is
Reality
other stuff." Yeah.
Yeah,
This
and it's funny because I mean, Thornton and Commerce City, they're pretty much one and the same. We might as well be cousins as far as the distance between the 2 cities. But yeah, so being a poor kid in the hustle, man, I would watch my mom knock on people's doors or put flyers on people's doors just asking if she could clean their house. And I was putting those notes on the doors with her. And I personally, when she would not get a call back or if she got a call back and got the job, I personally felt rejected. Like it made me mad. Like, why aren't you hiring my mom? Like my mom would do great at your house. I took it almost like just personally. And then but through that struggle and what we went through, I was like, man, I have to kill it in school. And then I had the opportunity when I went to Thornton High School to become a Daniels Fund student. Started that as a junior, and that was hard because when I left Thornton, to your point about leaving Commerce City, and then I went to Boulder, man, reality check. Like there's nothing more difficult than you're driving a 93 Toyota bumperless pickup truck, 2-wheel drive that you bought for $1,500 on your own when you were 16. And you pull up next to a kid driving a 2003 BMW that his parents gave him just because he went to college. So that was reality check where I was like, wow, they're not just the people that my mom cleaned houses for, but like their kids got the benefits of wealth or just not struggling. And so that was it took me a long, I was very spiteful, right? And I think now I'm older, I'm 40 now. You called me an old dog earlier and I'm realizing my age, but I'm not as angry, but man, when I pull up next to that car, I was angry. I was mad. I was pissed. I was pissed that I was poor. I was pissed that the people I grew up were poor. I was pissed that that person with money didn't know what it was like to struggle. But then as I got older, I was like, everyone struggles. It doesn't matter that guy's got a BMW. You don't know what his life is. Just because he has money does not mean there's not personal hardship or obstacles that he or she is going through.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because I live in it's a pretty wealthy area right now, and I always tell everybody, yeah, don't look at the name of the neighborhood, Windermere, Florida. I'm like, we're the poor people in the neighborhood. 'Cause, dude, there's money here, but you see it when you see kids that have the Mercedes, the Teslas, and they're like, these kids are miserable. And
Mhm.
I'm like, man, what is the disconnection of like their wealth and their happiness? And it's for me, because I know you're a father now, and we'll get into how this has impacted you back to now. But I think that our journeys of taking us, and the reason why I call this on to the next is because in my life I've had these moments in my life where I knew I just had to pivot one way, because if I didn't, I was gonna end up like hitting a rock, and that rock was gonna like take me out. Or there's a lot of situations where I could have been
Oh
um
yeah. Oh
made
yeah.
these horrible decisions. I, I guess when before you like really started doing good in school, because I know the influences were around you. What was that time in your life? What was kind of a pivotal choice? Was it the going to these houses and saying, I need to do better. I'm going to do better for me, for my mom.
That's
What
what it
was
was. It was doing better for her, and I think it's still that goal of I have to do it for her because of what she did for me and what she was doing. And so, but then I think the thing is whether it's being competitive or spiteful, I've had to grow out of this anger phase because it was also an anger towards not knowing my dad, right? Like not knowing him. He had his substance abuse issues and just issues of why he was not in my life. But there was kind of like a I don't know if we can cuss on here or you edit it out, but it's kind of like a fuck
it?
you. Like I'm gonna do this. My mom's struggling and I'm pissed at you and I'm gonna make this. So there was always a chip on my shoulder as far as like it was a spiteful reason. And now that I'm older, you cannot live your life at a young age, as a teenager, as a young adult, even as an adult. You can't make choices or live your life because of a spiteful reason, because the success will never taste good because
Yeah,
you're doing it for whatever the reason is that drives you that's negative. When something positive happens, you don't even almost acknowledge it because the reason you did it was you were mad, you were negative, you were something pessimistic was your motivator, so you can't even accept something good that's happening. And so I personally have to deal with that now, where it's like the motivation was my mom and the motivation was anger, and you have to let go of that anger to really accept where you are. And I'm still can be angry, right? And I think to your point of the kid and having my son is like, I have to not be that for him. But man, those motivation factors were anger, it was spite, it was not wanting my mom to struggle, and those were motivating factors. But it was the circumstances of having a difficult upbringing that motivated me. But it wasn't a dream come true thing. It was I'm gonna make this nightmare become less so.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of shutting or turning on the lights to some of that darkness that's in your life, and saying, I got to put this aside because it's not helping us. I know I've had it in my life. We start to go whole of like, well, somebody didn't do this. One of my parents didn't do this for me, or this guy didn't do this for me, so I'm gonna make him pay for things like that. And so I know that's easy to do, but I mean, I commend you looking towards the good. And like, I'm my mom was like the inspiration, so that I'm going to carry the next part of what I'm doing.
On to
I
the
kind of
next.
wanted to ask because, yeah, I kind of want you're as far as I've known you, you've kind of been in that. When did you start with that? Was it in high school? Was it before?
Say that one more time because you broke up right there. I got the end of that question. What was the first part of that?
Uh, so I was saying you're kind of a tech head like me. I'm
Oh,
I'm in the audio and video production realm, and I know that it's something that's been a big part of your life and what you're doing. But when did that start
Oh
for
man,
you? Like,
yeah,
when
yeah.
did you
You know
start doing that?
what's crazy about that, and mind you, no one knows this except for you, but it's like you're a tech head and spent 30 minutes setting up for this podcast because it wasn't working. But yeah, you know that happened in sixth grade on Adobe 1.1 Premiere. Okay, like I'm
Oh my
talking.
goodness.
I was in man, what year was that? It had to be 1999, and I crossed the street for the school that was called Tech Ed. And it was just sixth graders going over to kind of experience what the high school was, just one day there. And I watched a kid in Tech Ed on a computer, like a Mac, and had never seen a Mac before. And he was editing a video, and I was like, whoa, that is so cool. So I could not wait. I counted down the days of when I would be in high school, because my Thornton High School is right next to the Bowman Technical Education Center. And the second I could get into applied technology, I jumped at it, and I never stopped. I still remember to this day the tutorials and where I was sitting and the computer I was using. And it was this girl doing like an acrobatic stunt, and she was flipping, and it was just a tutorial telling you how to cut a scene together. Changed my life. And from that point on, my hustle began in high school, to where I would go to my video editing class, and I would be like, hey, they'd be like, you need to edit a project. And I'd be like, oh, cool. I was like, can I edit the sociology video? And they're like, yeah, that's a random subject. Well, the reason why is because I go to my sociology class at Thornton High School, and they'd be like, oh, we need you to build a I don't know what it was. It could have been anything, but build a presentation not on a computer. And I went up to the teacher. I was like, what if I built a video that was about sociology? Oh yeah, that would be cool. So I hustled my way in eighth, I guess ninth and 10th grade through school by using my video editing to get my project done. So I learned at that age. Oh man, I was like, that was kind of my currency, right? It was my way of getting out. It was my way of buying time as a kid, because I would edit in one class for another class, and they would be blown away that I edited a video. And for me, I was just trying to get out of doing the work.
But it became your passion, and you went on to CU for that, right?
Yeah, I actually learned from Jerry Aronson, the same professor who taught the South Park creators, and I got to watch their actual class project that they made on 16 millimeter film with construction paper. And that blew my mind. I mean, mostly because I was at Boulder and I was high, and that probably blew my mind for other reasons. But I definitely was like, I just was thinking, oh my God. And it was 2007. So YouTube had just kind of become a thing. Like, we literally became a thing. Not to the extent that it is now, but I was like, oh man, you could just make viral videos. I was like, or viral probably wasn't even a word then. I was like, you can make videos and upload them on YouTube. Like, this is how I'll make my break, just like these South Park guys did. I'm learning from the same professor they did, blah, blah, blah. Oh, fuck, that's not how the world works. But that was my naive thinking about that. But I learned from the same professor who taught them, and literally at the same time that they were building Team America World Police, they would talk to Professor Aronson, and they would give him updates about the film project and what they were working on. And that just blew my mind. I was like, here I am, a kid from Thornton, in a film class where the professor's literally talking to these guys who created South Park, and everyone at that time loved South Park, still do, and I still watch it. And I was like, wow, I'm getting hands-on information from these guys as they're making this video through a first person perspective. I was like, this is crazy. So yeah, that changed my life. But I was still struggling with who I was as a person, self-identity. I was naive and thinking, oh man, I got a full ride scholarship. Oh man, I went to film school. Oh man, I'm going to make it big. And, but I learned a craft there. And yeah, so CU was cool for that. CU was cool for learning how to become I guess an adult. And it was cool to learn not to be angry at others. It took me a long time to learn that lesson. But yeah, overall CU was a beautiful experience that if I did not have that, I have no idea where I would be right now. To your point, I mean, I love everyone that I grew up with, but I see they don't live in a bad place in life, but I don't think that they truly can understand what's on the other side, right? Like, and
Mhm.
I'm grateful for the experience of CU because it just kind of opened up my eyes of like, if I work hard, I can be that kid in that 2003 BMW and earn it myself. And that's kind of what I took away from that. But I also learned how to roll a joint at CU too. So I mean, who knows how much I really learned there.
Well, CU's notorious for that, right?
At that time, it was,
Hard
yeah. At
to
that time, they were like the number one party school, and
yeah.
they were trying to not have that be a record.
Yeah, it's a little too late for that now.
Hey, but they are what they are
But
now. I mean, they're becoming what they are, and it's a good school with a great reputation. So I'm grateful and appreciative of that. And I think what's funny is just to kind of guide you on the journey is like I had difficulty at Boulder in the sense I didn't want to live there and be around be around. I just couldn't be around the school or that culture. It did not fit me well. So I went to Westminster, lived in Westminster, and I would commute from Westminster to Boulder. And it was there that I heard Kathy J from KS 107.5 in the morning show, who I'd listened to for years, complaining about the intern. And it was in that moment as I was driving my bumperless 93 Toyota pickup, I pull into the UMC parking lot. I park, and I didn't even go to my first class. I went right to the computer lab, and I made my resume, and I sent it to Kathy J. And that's how I got my internship. Was my spitefulness made me not want to live in Boulder, and that long drive, listen to the radio, and that long drive listening to the radio made me apply to be an intern, and it all kind of started from there.
so you're saying that this is kind of your fuel, what you're doing, um, the film school, everything. It's kind of your fuel right now to get you away from like your anger of just your situation, because I think there's a lot of people who have been out there who have been like that. Like, what's my outlet?
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds like that was your primary outlet, school, but at the same time, you're within a bunch of like who are beyond wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Oh
like,
yeah,
I can't do this. And since you're
live
gonna go crazy.
Yeah, live in a world that I can't understand. But here's the thing: is like the relationships that I got from there, I still have. So I like my boy Davey was my best man in my wedding. My boy Pete, I still talk to, and which is wild to think because you're like 22 years of friendship that came from that. I did have an identity where it wasn't like I cut myself off from the world. I just needed those people that I could relate to. And man, those two guys I'm still friends with to this day. Could call them up in a heartbeat. Here's the funniest thing, and we'll kind of go full circle here, is that they see me work so hard. When you work hard, and maybe it was because it's ingrained in me from such a young age, I don't go to parties. I don't socialize as much as the average person does. I would cut myself off from the world. Even now, even my success in radio as an intern, and then a producer, and then trying to start my own business and failed it, and tried to start another business. All these journeys that I had, I cut myself off from the world. Those relationships I still have, but and those ones that stuck with me respected what I did, but there was no going out. There was no living this kind of like 20s lifestyle to where you're free and independent. It was goal, vision, work, sleep. Maybe you hang out a little bit, work. It's funny because you got to have those friends that hold you down. And so my boys, man, Davey and Pete, known them for years, man, and I always talk business, no matter what. If I'm with them, if I'm with anyone, I talk business. I'll be with my 6-year-old. I'm like, hey, buddy, we need to put you in front of camera. But also, that whole South Park connection is Davey and Pete and I went to college together, and we would watch South Park, right? Religiously, man. I remember Pete was this like, man, he had red hair and this gorgeous red hair, and all the girls loved him. And like, he wore a Jesus is my homeboy trucker hat and loafers. And he had this maroon polo and one shorts. And that was his outfit all the time. And I remember watching the Ginger South Park episode with him. But South Park had, when that happened, and we're like, oh my God, is he going to be mad? And he was just, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. But they had a montage episode of South Park where they're like, montage in the scene. It's a montage to get through whatever's happening really quickly. So now when I go to Davey and Pete and we're hanging out and I start talking business, they go, business Jared, always talking business because that's all he does. And it's the greatest thing because I need that, and I need to be reminded of who I am, because you will get lost in the work. You will lose yourself in the grind of whatever your goal is, that you have to have a reality check that life is so much more than business, success, money. There's a live, laugh, love part of life that you have to have those people that bring you back down to earth. And that's what they do, because I do work too much. I work way too much, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate that about you, and I understand what you're saying, because we do need those people. I have those people in my life. Just a few weeks ago, I went back to go celebrate a buddy's 50th birthday party, and I almost didn't go because I'm like, man, I just need to work, because there's some things I needed to do to get done, and I almost like backed out of it. But I'm so glad I
Lots of
didn't,
work.
because yeah. So you just need those people in your life, and they not only can you like just conversate, break bread with them, you have fun, but they also help to keep you accountable for some of the things in your life.
Yeah, because
And
at the end of the day, we're all just people, man, and everyone's got goals. It doesn't matter if you're the ultimate grinder, hustler, if you're the guy driving the 2003 BMW, or you're the guy working at Target and driving your bumperless Toyota pickup, man. At the end of the day, we have a short time, all of us on this planet, and whether you pass your knowledge and experiences on to the next generation, if it's your kid or if it's just being a good person, it's important to enjoy life. And you can't, and yes, you can have the grind mentality, and you never want to lose that. And I love that you had me on, Vince, and that you're having me on, and you're willing to say, hey man, I respect the hustle. But as I've gotten older, I've like, man, I need to still hustle, and I still am. And I would love to talk about the new ventures, but I'm starting to really get into enjoying what my hard work has bought me. And it hasn't brought me riches in the sense of materialistic goods, but it's brought me riches in the sense that I could pick up my kid every day from school, and I can go play basketball, baseball. I can take him places right after school, and I can do things with him that if I had my 9 to 5, where I and trust me, I had my 9 to 5 after the radio and businesses failed, because I've had multiple business failed, and I worked in a cubicle, and I had that job where I showed up at 8:35 and the boss said, you got to be here at 8:30. And I was like, this is not my life. This is not what I want to do. But now I have that freedom, and that's the riches that I've been afforded by working hard, is to be with my little dude, and be a part of those moments that the 9 to 5 would have taken away from me.
yeah, and isn't that the best? Because uh I did work a lot, like when we had my kids, my two that are my daughter just graduated, which is
Good
great.
for her. Good for
And
you.
my
Congrats.
son, yeah, my son's in his senior year at UCF, and so along those years, I did make sure that I was able to take those times, but I I also worked my ass off to like my wife stayed home because I thought that was important for me at the time, and I was able to do some of the things that I wanted to do. I was helping coaching. I mean, I see you doing the same thing,
Yeah.
and those things are important, man. Those
Core
riches,
memories. It's core memories
yeah,
for us as dads, and it's core memories for them, man. Like
yeah.
there is, it's indescribable, that feeling. Like I can't, like, how describe to me that feeling of knowing that your child just graduated. There's been other experiences, but how did that make you feel? Like, what
Oh,
was that?
bro.
Can you describe it even? Is it hard?
So I'll tell you just a situation that I like just it was just yesterday. So I seen this little girl with her dad, and the little girl and her dad are singing that song, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And dude, I almost cried because I'm like, I was just there, and now my daughter is like heading to her moment of like her next journey.
Adulthood. Yeah,
So
yeah,
just it's just like you get moments like that and everything kind of just flashes, and you're like, but you're glad you were able to spend some of those times, because my daughter, she was team manager for the football,
it's
and
awesome.
she wasn't on the field, but she was a part of the team. And dude, we were there at a lot of the games still because she was a part of the team. And
Yeah.
being able to just do that and just be there, show her that we're there. So dude, I totally understand that being the riches and successes of life.
Yeah, I mean, but there's failures. I mean, let's be real, right? Like, I left radio in 2016 because I knew it was on life support, and there's kind of a full circle moment that I want to get back into on that. But I left it because I was like, man, this industry is just not, it's not, it's not going to allow me to make a lot of money. It's not going to allow me the opportunity to keep getting promotions. And I'm glad I saw that, because that's what I see now in that industry. And so I left, started my own business, started again a podcast in 2015, 2016. I sold it as meaning to a sponsor, and got my first six-figure deal, man, with a client, and was like, man, I made it. This is how you do it. You go from CU to intern to I'm meeting celebrities and musicians, and oh man, this is the life, blah blah blah. And then now I got a six-figure deal, and I got burned by an agent who's negotiating on behalf of other individuals. He burned me. I learned a lesson about contracts. Him burning me ultimately destroyed the deal that I made, right? The six-figure deal fell apart because of him, and I had to get a regular job. I had a kid on the way, and I had to start over. And there's nothing hit a gut punch more than being naive and thinking I'm going to be the next South Park creators, going from intern to producer, which was a struggle, but I made it work. I had some recognition from that job, making my first six-figure deal right out of the gate, to lost it all on how to get a regular job. And I had no experience in anything, because while producer sounds cool, and now it probably would land me gigs, in 2015 meant nothing. So what? You're a producer for a morning show. What does that mean? So you made audio. Our job doesn't produce audio. We don't produce a show. That's what is. So I literally lost it all. Poof, man, had to get a regular job. I was sitting at a cubicle, and this was what my turning point was. The job was Ring Central. I appreciate my boy Anthony Smith getting me the job, but I'm doing training there at Ring Central, and which, by the way, stock shot up through the roof during COVID, and I probably would have made a killing if I stayed there. But I also probably would have killed someone if I stayed there. But I remember sitting there, and they had me watch a tutorial video or an instructional video or whatever it was about the history of the business, and how the guy Vlad, or whatever, I think his name was Vlad, started Ring Central. He started Ring Central because he didn't want to work for anybody. Now, to think about that. He started Ring Central because he didn't want to work for anybody. And here I am sitting here working for him.
Mm,
That was a
yeah,
gut punch.
yeah.
And so that was the catalyst of, well, you failed in starting your own business before. Your alternative was this. And I remember, and dude, I sat in that cubicle. It was not only listening to Vlad say that, but the guy in the cubicle, dude, I remember 4 cubicles back and to the right. We're all talking in cubicles. I've never talked in cubicles before. Like, everyone's chit-chatting over hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah. And this guy says, yeah, I used to work in radio. I worked for KBPI, and that was like 15 years ago. And I've been here ever since. And I go, what the fuck? I go, I cannot, I'm going to be this guy. Vlad is telling me he started a business because he didn't want to work with it for anyone. And this guy's telling me he left radio or got fired from radio, and he's been here for 15 years in a cubicle. I'm out.
Slowly start putting everything in your bag, and you're like, okay.
I had access to a key card, and I came in on a Sunday, and I put a sticky note on my computer, and I was like, I appreciate the opportunity, but I can't do this. Was it the wrong way to quit a business? Who knows? I didn't have a normal cubicle job in my entire life. So that's how I quit. Then I went to another radio station because I was like, well, that's the world I'm used to. I can't get a regular job anywhere. And it was there at that radio station where I had my first as a salesperson client, right? An auto wash. Love them. Dennis and Aaron Dreesen started Auto Wash, a husband and wife company. It is transformed the auto wash industry. They have a digital app, blah, blah, blah. They've done amazing things. I saw what they were paying per month for this radio ads. And I was like, you're not getting anything from this. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, I could take a fraction of what you're paying and I could give you double the results. And so I went up to them, and this is probably ethically, and hopefully I don't even think that company's in existence anymore, but ethically this probably wasn't right. But I went up to them and had a great relationship. It's all about relationships. It's all about relationships. And I went up to them and I go, hey, I make this much money here at this job. I was like, that's less than what you're paying for ads and digital radio and all this other stuff. I can do this for you. I can make videos for you. I can do X, Y, and Z for you. I just need this much money from you so that I can make as much as I am now, but start my own business. And they provided me that much. They paid me that much per month. It wasn't a lot. It was more than it was roughly more than I was making because I wasn't paying taxes. I'm paying taxes now. But I was just like, man, I made it. And it was from them that snowballed into another client, that snowballed into another client, that snowballed into another client. But I had to hit rock bottom, man. But it was also the relationships when I was at rock bottom that I could just talk to someone who's building it, right? Like I could talk to Aaron and Dennis, and hopefully I'm not going on too much of a tangent here, but I could talk to Aaron and Dennis who have built this company from one car wash into the 25 that they have now, into a digital app that is used around other auto wash or other car washes across the country. I could tell them my goal, and they supported me because they were entrepreneurs. They started somewhere. They also knew I could give them the results that I said I would. So they were willing to take that risk on me. I took a risk by going out there on my own. They took a risk on me. I delivered for them. And from there, it kept growing and growing to where I am now. So I think that it's always important to build relationships and pay it forward so that as I grow and my business becomes a success and I see another entrepreneur out there or solopreneur or someone hustling, and I see that they got a skill set that can benefit me, but they just need that kind of, hey, here, let me give you a step up to help you get where you need to be. It's all about paying it forward. And I'm glad and happy and appreciative that I'm finally at a point in my life where I could say, I could do that for someone.
Yeah.
And, but man, I hit rock bottom, plain and simple. Like there's no other way around that.
There's an analogy that I've carried with me is that like we carry around this shovel in our lives and we dig a hole, and sometimes we use the wrong cement mix to build our foundation. But I look at those people and those relationships as the right cement mix to build the right foundation. Because when you're digging your hole, initially you're on your own. You're digging that hole. Sometimes it's a lot, but then the relation
hole than you need to be. Yeah, it's a big hole you just dug.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a hole that you're like, okay, I just hit like the wrong foundation. I'm not building anything in this hole.
I just hit some electrical line, man, and a water pipe just burst. What am I doing? Yeah.
I mean, because I've dug plenty of those holes myself too, so I understand, and that's why I appreciate your story and your journey so much, and how you've carried. It's interesting for you to say that, when you left the radio station, because it was a successful radio station, but you didn't take the experience, you took the relationships with you, and that was even better, right? In what you're doing now.
I don't need to go down the rabbit hole, but like it led me to people know Wiggins more than they know Jared, and I'm cool with that. Right. Like first of all, I just want a lot of people to know my real name and anything about me, but they know Wiggins more than they know me. But I'm still the same person. But the relationships I built have led to my current business partner with Jake Salazar, who is a successful entrepreneur, and he was the chairman for the Colorado Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It led to me understanding that I needed to acquire a brand that was bigger than myself, which is the I'm from Denver network that has 600,000 followers, because I needed a KS 1075 style network to that was bigger than my videos or anything that I could offer. It had to have some recognition behind it. It led to my relationships with Brent Wood at Larry H. Miller, who led to my relationship. That relationship led to Kip Fulks, the co-founder of Under Armour. And finally, full circle moment, you cannot burn bridges. You cannot burn bridges. And no matter how spiteful I was, and there's times, don't get me wrong, like there's things I've done with my old boss. There was a program director who I regret some of my actions and ego or whatever it was that made me a little bit disrespectful to someone higher up, but it was also being disrespected, right? But I approached that incorrectly. But I never burned bridges other than maybe a handful, which I regret, or I try to repair those. And so as I entered the phase where we're at now, where I have a successful I'm from Denver social media platform, 600,000 followers, we organically reach 15 to 25 million people, depending on the month, in Colorado. We have a website with imfromdenver.com. My pivot now is knowing that it's exactly what it was with radio when I was like, radio's not where it needs to be for me to succeed. And that's where social media is going, and that's where AI is going. So now my business partner and I, Jake Salazar, we're in the space called of SaaS, and creating digital marketing platform called Run Autopilot that is built on the back of Go High Level. But it's been built for the last 4 years based on everything I've learned about digital marketing, the traditional marketing and branding, the nuances of running a business on your own and not having the tools and resources there. This gives you all of those tools. And now with the advent of AI, it utilizes AI to really kind of take it to the next level. And so with Run Autopilot, we are just killing it for businesses, but that's because the shift is now AI. Whether it's video production, whether it's content creation, whether it's social media networks that are not as popular as I'm from Denver because they're going to follow a different platform that's AI driven, who knows? We still have success on that. But I ultimately pivoted to this tool or platform. And here's the full circle moment. And again, I try to bring it all together, not ramble for events, but the full circle moment in not burning bridges is as of today, this morning, I got a text from the general manager of Odyssey. All right. So there's iHeart, there's Odyssey. They're kind of they own all these stations, like 226 stations across the country. Odyssey owned KS 1075 or owns it. That's where I worked. Would keep that relationship even during COVID. I would talk to that guy, Mike Peterson, every 6 months. I showed him what we're doing with Run Autopilot. I showed him how we could generate tens of millions of dollars in revenue for Odyssey, even if a person isn't on the airwaves, that they can still make a revenue stream in the tens of millions of dollars across the country at a time when maybe that industry isn't turning as much revenue as they once had. I know now that we have the resources to truly make an impact in that industry, because I lived and breathed that industry. And I got a text at 6:30 this morning after sending him emails and the proposal and the breakdown video explaining it. And we're going to meet next week with the sales manager and the operations manager. And we're going to show them how Run Autopilot can transform the radio industry into a full-on digital marketing tool for the brands that choose to be on Odyssey, utilizing Run Autopilot and the AI platform. So everything's coming full circle. Now, where that goes, I don't know. But for me, it's a full circle, connect the dots moment. So even coming on your podcast today, I don't do a lot of interviews. I don't even see people like wanting to have me on as an interview. So I appreciate that. But to me, everything today, right now, in this interview with you, talking about my history, what I've gone through, and having to have self-reflection, I'm excited about the moment, and that I've been able to go from step one all the way back around. And that risk reward scenario of leaving radio in 2016 has brought me back home to where I'm at today, and we'll see where that leads me. But so I hopefully I didn't go on too much of a tangent there, but it's exciting for me to have that all connected.
No, man, that's amazing, because you've just proven the fact of keeping those relationships, not burning bridges, and doing the things and doing them the right way. And dude, it's so much of what you've been given from your childhood to now, the the work ethic, the balance of like doing for others, and because you could have easily like done everything out of spite, and not doing everything out of spite and carrying all that has truly helped you like move to your next pivotal moment, because some of us have moments where we have to move on more than others, because I like you said, you've tried and failed, but it I dude, you have to try and fail. Like that's the only way you're gonna move.
Success cannot be understood without failure.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Like I cannot appreciate CU without the struggle. I cannot appreciate what I've done in business without the failure of failing in business. I cannot appreciate the growth I've had without hitting rock bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on and just being a part of this, because
Absolutely.
this is all about. And when I started this platform, when I started this podcast, my end goal is to create a 501c to actually take this as a nonprofit organization to help those that need a bump for their next. And I whether it be a single mom, a family of that's struggling, somebody who's just not able to push along and just needs a bump, who has the motivation and the tools to do so. They just need that bump. And that's what this has is all gonna
Good for you,
stem.
man.
So
It's
that's
again not for selfish reasons, right? Like you're doing it to help others, and I mean, the relationship building here is my business partner Jake Salazar. He works in that 501c space really heavily, and so maybe there's something there where we can help you as you go on that journey and give you those resources to help you with that. But that's fantastic that that's your goal, because your goal is selfless. It
yeah.
really is.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you and your boys. I've never had a guy who's had a guy to and you you're like, I have a guy doing my tech stuff, even though like this is your realm. But
Well,
yeah,
that's all new. That's all new. But that's all part of the growth, right? And so shout out to
yeah,
Ken and Todd. But I mean, that's part of the growth, and it's fantastic, man. So I'm glad to be on this podcast. I appreciate it. I'm very humbled by it. I mean, this is probably it's funny. It's the second podcast I've ever done, or third in like 2 weeks, and I think it's important because I don't think I have a message, but people come up to me and say I have a message. And so if people can resonate with this, and there's one person that could be motivated from this, or know that you could come from Commerce City, you can come from Thornton, and you could come from hardship, and you can still succeed no matter what obstacles are in your way. That's all I could ask for in this podcast, and I appreciate you letting me spread that word, and just kind of experiencing this, like I said, this full circle moment for me. It truly is indescribable, because that text that came in at 6 a.m., me kind of reliving this whole story, it's a great feeling, and I appreciate you.
yeah. Well, it resonates, man, and I appreciate you. So Jay, um, I we had some technical difficulties, but I appreciate you getting through it. And dude, let's keep in touch. And because there's a lot of things that I think both of us and you have some great things going on.
Well, yeah,
And
no,
yeah,
I appreciate it, man. If I could plug Run Autopilot, and you guys, it's an all-in-one platform that's designed to help digital marketing and utilize AI for brands of all sizes, big businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. Check out runautopilot.io. You can also follow us on Instagram for I'm from Denver at I am from Denver, not IAM. It's the worst name. I apologize. The letter M from Denver. If you're from Colorado, we do a lot of throwback stuff on there, and we're heading towards a community driven focus, and promoting and uplifting small brands and and people's stories. So check us out there. And then you could always follow me at Wiggins, WIGNZ. Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a follow other than throwing up my kids on there. But to you, man, I appreciate you having me on here. I'll share everything on the platform, and it's been a great podcast and a great time talking to you.
Yeah, I'll put the links up. That way everybody visually sees it. So
Cool.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good day.
Thanks, bro. You guys, appreciate you.
We'll see you, man.
Play, 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 play. Put on.